Okay, Ross. Once again, this is not to tempt all the people that like to put trumpets up on the social media about after timing, but
Yeah.
you have had good wins on scoop sixes and place pots, and you do enjoy profitable tote place bets. So what's your strategy on them?
Well, the place bets are more exchange place bets. I think the place markets. I do like the place markets. And you're right. I did win the Scoop Six in 2016, and I have had more. I have had so many painful bad beats since then that I've probably given that win back.
It's gone though, isn't it, now, the scoop six, really? Because Mountie used to do it on a regular basis, and it's...
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think the industry is missing the biggest trick. I think it's absolutely daft because I think pool betting. Look, we all want extra value, and you all want to bet against each other, and you all want. There's too much racing, for a start. If we had less racing, better quality racing, better pool betting, and we could all go up against each other without it being spread so thinly, this game would be significantly healthier. And if every single Saturday you knew there was a big pot to be chased, people would watch. The viewing figures would go up, betting numbers would go up, and you'd do it without people. I'm not saying you can't display problem gambling behaviours with pool betting as well, but it gives your average punter a chance to get involved in something a bit bigger. It has gone a bit. The World Pool, I think, with play spots and jackpots and stuff, has made a big difference. I mean, or certain meetings, like Newmarket last week, that 3-day meeting, there was 100, 150 grand in the play spot pool. You've just got to have that bet because there's normally 25, 30 in it. So you're getting a chance. I mean, the first day at Newmarket last week paid 9 grand. And then it was like 1,600 and 500. And again, because of the numbers in there, there's just huge value. You've got to have a go at it. But it is painful. It is painful because, the day the win was good, but like, for example, when was it? It was when Baybridge, the most, I mean, I've had, the painful one still comes to mind, but when Baybridge won the handicap at York a couple of years ago, back end of the season, it was Newmarket as well. And I can't show. I wish we could edit in now the replay of the final race, as I had 2 lines going into the final race.
All sorts of trouble with media rights if we do stuff like
Yeah,
that.
no chance. Put it this way: I had 2 that kicked a length clear of the rest, and one came out of the pack and did both of them on the line, and I made a noise like someone had shot a cat, and so yeah, it's a fantastic bet, but when you're lengthening that, you back one each way and it finishes 4th, it's painful 5 minutes. A whole afternoon to get to the last leg to get chin on the line, it can be quite painful. It can drive you a bit mad.
Okay, talking about getting chinned on the line, you've had some success betting running.
Yeah, I used to do that a lot. Yeah, that was probably my main source of income for quite a few years.
What, you were in sort of Canary Wharf or something like that?
Not quite as glamorous. I was in a porter cabin above a bookies in Bramley in Leeds. Not quite. It wasn't Canary Wharf.
As long as you had the fast pictures, it didn't really matter, did it?
Exactly.
The fast connection.
Yeah. And it was odd. I used to drive over to a porter cabin in Bramley and sit in there with 4 or 5 other blokes, and then drive home after 4 hours. But yeah, it was again. It is much harder these days. When you had your turf TV and your SIS and stuff, I used to be able to go in and make a good daily wage from it.
Were you a grinder, or a tapper at the end there, making the most of the fast pitches, or were you speculating in mid-race, or what was your game?
How did people do? The 101 bashers? I mean, I salute you. fair play to you.
Well,
Because,
but I mean, back then, 101, it had won, didn't it?
yeah. Well, that's the thing, but I got in slightly after that. I would go into the port cabin, and there was a couple of guys sat in there, and one of them in particular said, you know, you should have been here 5 years ago, mate. We were back in 105s, and they were weighing in. That's like, oh great. He's like, oh, we made millions. Yeah, exactly that. And I was like, oh right, okay. Well, I'm pretty happy with my 5-2 winner. I've just managed to grind out at Ballon Robe or whatever. No, it was again. I've always been a backer, not a layer, not a grinder, not a trader. It was about doing the figures, doing the video analysis, and then when I thought what was happening in front of me was what I thought was going to happen, getting stuck in basically, which made for some big swings. That's part of the issue. I don't really do it anymore. You get older and you genuinely coming home to your fiance and saying, and she's like, "How was your day?" And you're like, "Oh, I've lost 3 grand." Gets harder. It gets harder and harder.
First rule of betting, never.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, but I never subscribed to that. I was probably too honest with it. I'm probably too honest with it. So, and it's a weird. It was okay when you were in the trading rooms and stuff, but now people used to go to the track and whatnot and so forth. But now, you know, if you're sat at home for 5 hours, especially post-lockdown as well, I think that definitely changed my mindset. I just realised that I didn't want to be sat in a room on my own anymore, and that for the sake of a few grand, like it's
Not a day, a week, a month.
Oh no, I mean like as in like. Look, I'm going to be very clear. Like, you know, there's people I know. Like, there's people who've made millions on that, on Betfair, and that wasn't me. If in my head, it was like if I can make the living I would make normally tax free, and I have to work 3 hours a day in the afternoon, I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
I don't want to. You know, there used to be the guy I respected the most was the guy who came in, and when he won the grand, he went home. And I remember coming in one day. He sat down for the first race. He backed the winner of the first race, and he stood up and he packed up his stuff and he went, "See you later, lads." And he walked out the door. And I was like, "What was that?" And he was like, "Oh, he's won his grand, he's off."
Not necessarily any logic to that, though, is there?
No, not at all. But I think his policy was that, look, it was about making money, it was about making a living, it was about feeding his family, and he was going to go home and
Enjoy the rest of his day.
yeah, he was going to go have a game of golf instead of sticking around to the 5 o'clock. And what would often happen is you'd make a grand in the first race, you'd go, "I'm on for a right day here." By the 5 p.m, you'd have made 995, and you go, "I've just spent 5 hours losing £5."
Yeah. So you've talked at the first part about you were a very successful punter at one point. You were very successful betting running. Have all those ships sailed? I mean, could you replicate that? I mean, would there ever be a time where you thought I could go back and purely bet for a living?
Yeah, and no.
The practicalities of just getting your bets on would be the biggest logistical problem, from what everybody tells me, that wins.
I mean, and it used to be, I mean, there's loads of things that go into it. It used to be that I would say to my mate, "Could you open a few accounts for me?"
Go to prison for that these days.
Well, that's what I mean. And he'd go, "Yeah," and he'd do it. And he'd pass me the logins, and I'd say, "You know, you have 5%, and whatever I win, you can have a bit of it, and it will be fine." You can't. You can't. That doesn't work anymore. It doesn't work in any capacity. I mean, I've known people who've had mortgage applications turned down because they said, "What, you've had a bet?" And these aren't people who bet a lot. There's a stigma in general around it that has heightened. So getting a bet on, even like I said, so when I bought my house, I mean, the going in and saying, where did your deposit come from? And I'm like, "Do you know Betfair?" Was a weird one. But now that would never happen. I would never ever. I don't think I would. I think they would laugh me out of the bank if I had to go back and do that now. So there's that, and it is a grind. It's harder. The juice isn't necessarily worth the squeeze, and I think it is still for some people, and people have their own angles. And I've done the running on the drones, and it is remarkable. And if everyone had access to that, I think it would level the playing field again, and we'd all be off. But you're up against the best of the best in that at the moment, and you just have to be on it all the time. And I just enjoy the other stuff more now, I think. And what used to happen as well is, for example, William Hill Radio, be in the studio with other people. You do, I'm doing In the Know tonight. There'll be me and Keels in the studio. You'll have two people on Skype. I'll be recording interviews at home. I mean, this is a genuine. I think I'll probably watch this back and think, bloody hell, calm down, mate. But do you know, it is quite rare to do this stuff in person nowadays. So I used to be able to do my study in the morning, and I'd either go into the training room and essentially spend the afternoon with colleagues, or you go into William Hill Radio and spend it with colleagues, or you go to the races and do something there. And then it gets to the point where I prefer that. I want to be interacting with people, and it's a lot more enjoyable. And you still do the work and do the knowledge, but like I said, you're not having those. It's not all your eggs aren't all in the one basket.
So you're doing the work, but you're using that for the punditry as opposed to the punting.
Yeah, and I'm still doing the punting, but it used to be. It did used to be easier, and I used to care about it more. But it's all consuming, isn't it? It's especially during the summer. Like if you have to keep up with it, because you make a mistake. There's no other job where if you make a mistake, you get yesterday's wages taken off you. And yeah, it used to be, when I was younger and single and less responsibilities, it was a lot easier to do that. And it does take, it's hard. It is hard. It genuinely is hard. Again, I always remember someone saying it was the hardest way to make an easy living. Yeah.
And you're still doing the William Hill Radio.
Yeah.
And that's every day, all day. Not for you, but it's broadcast every day.
Yeah. Via
the app, isn't it?
Yeah. So that's been going for 20 or 25 years now. And I still think, the fact that I think it's both the past and the future in a weird way, because I think, again, I do think they say it's a game of opinions, right? And everyone wants to share those opinions. It's a social thing. I saw Willie Mullins the other day being interviewed and saying that the social aspect of the game is way underrated, and I still think that's true. And that is partly in person. It is partly going to the races. It's partly that kind of thing. But it's also watching the TV or being down the pub with your mates and discussing what have you backed, and getting involved in people's wins and losses and opinions, and how can you say that? It was a crap race he won, and he'll never win a Grade 1, and I don't know, that's the kind of thing. And I think what I like about the radio is working with people I respect who are doing the work I'm doing, and going head to head with them, and
bouncing ideas off each other even.
Absolutely, yeah. And again, it's why would you spend 6 hours on Proform in the morning when you can just ask Andrew Mount? Or
which is why I don't delve into the form book.
Yeah. But for example, the people I think saying things out loud, saying your opinions out loud, or writing them down, or bouncing them with someone else, it tests them again. If you say something, it tests it, and I love doing that. And I don't know, you'll probably ask me about this in a second, but all the stuff I do at the moment, the stuff I enjoy the most is where you are bouncing off other people. I think that's a post-COVID thing as well. It was definitely noticeable. You're like, oh, isn't it nice to talk to people?